Hello, infidels. I'm going to share a little bit about Mary's assumption into heaven. That is pretty unique, I think, to Catholicism once again. Now, the Orthodox, they believe in the Dormition of Mary, and Catholics believe that too. I'm not sure Protestants, they don't really go back into church history like that. A lot of the evangelical Protestants. But tradition has Mary living quite a long time after the crucifixion. I think she's, from the cross, Jesus gave John to her and her to John, which is sort of like John kind of represented the church. He gave the church, Mary to the church, and John to Mary, and but I think John took Mary in, which is interesting too, because if she had the biological children, perhaps they would have taken her in. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But after that, she lived a rather long life. Tradition has, maybe even 20, 30 years after the crucifixion, she lived. I'm not exactly sure the time. All I know is she lived quite a bit after the crucifixion, and then she died. And apparently the apostles were able to come around, tradition says, and be there when Mary died. And then they left for 3 days, came back, and the body was gone, assumed into heaven. And that's where the tradition started with the Blessed Virgin Mary. And then apparently it was throughout time. They dedicated churches throughout history to the Assumption of Mary. And finally, for a long time it happened. And then I think finally in 1950, one of the popes said that, confirmed and made that a key doctrine of the church, the Assumption of Mary. And he started it out. It had been going on for a long time in the church, but he made it official, the Assumption of Mary. And so that's basically what I wanted to say about that. Now, this is a part of our great tradition. Now, she's really the first disciple after Christ, of course. Christ rose from the dead, set us free through the resurrection. But Mary is really the first and the best disciple, and she was taken into heaven, both body and soul. And it's sort of, we're going to be, God willing, following in that first disciple's footsteps, all of us. And it's a great feast day. I think the feast day was, yesterday. The feast day was yesterday. It's a wonderful feast day because it's really, she's our claim to fame as human beings. She's really the best we got as human beings, the most devoted to God, and she's got many other titles too. You could talk about the Immaculate Conception. She's called the Mother of God. All of these names throughout history, and the Assumption is really our rallying cry of humanity. Then she goes on to be the Queen of Heaven. Remember, she's nothing without Jesus. She's always depicted, oftentimes, here's a picture of her. She's oftentimes depicted, mostly, especially these Byzantine icons. She's always with the sun. The sun has made Mary great. Mary's not great on her own. It's because of the sun. He makes her great. And he's the one who's behind the Assumption, into heaven. His mother, he wanted his mother up there with him with no problems, boom. She's coming to heaven. And then he makes her the queen of heaven and earth and angels and all the saints. That's because of the mercy, by the merit, all of that's because of the merits of Jesus Christ. Anything good in Mary, of course, anything good in us, as far as being Christian disciples, is because of the merits of Jesus Christ on the cross. That's right here. This is why Mary's great. And that's why in the East they always have her with the Son. They rarely have her alone. Because she is great because of this cross. That's what makes her great. That's really all I wanted to share today. Like I said, the Assumption is one of our greatest moments in the church. And when she was crowned queen, our greatest moments. She's our hero, Our Lady, Notre Dame. God bless.